Hey everybody, welcome back to Defy Aging, and I am Coach Allison to review the week's workout with you. And we are in week 50, and what that means is it's another mobility week, which we do every 10 weeks. Okay, so this time around for mobility, we're going to have one circuit, so we are going to be rotating on the turf. We've done something like this in the past with a longer work time because it is going to be 60 seconds on and 30 seconds off. A lot of the mobility, or most, if not all, of the mobility movements are, we want them to be slow, controlled. We want all of our exercises to be controlled, but mostly they're just kind of slow moving. And we want to really feel like the stretching and the movement and all of that stuff that is involved in mobility. So for that reason, we are going to do 60-second sets. None of these should be overly aerobic. They might be challenging in their own way because some of them are movements that our body isn't used to, or it's using a very small area that we're not used to using. So they might be challenging, but they shouldn't be overly aerobic. So the 60 seconds on with the 30-second rest should be manageable, and the 30-second rest is really enough time to kind of get up and move to the next station and sort of get situated. We have only 2 rounds of that because the sets are so long. We don't have time for 3 rounds. Then we will have a little finisher at the end. That's going to be a nice little brain teaser, left and right brain, kind of maybe fighting each other a little bit. That's going to be fun. We'll review that at the end. Okay, so the first station is, well, I was going to say it's mobility, but it's all mobility. It's going to be a hip one. And those of you who've been with us for a while will know this one. It's a 90-90 hip opener or mobility. So we've also had it in our warm-ups. So we're going to sit, lean back on the hands. We step the feet wide to start because this is the movement here. We dip to the side, and if your feet are too close together to start, it ends up like this, which we don't want those legs overlapped. You want them to be separate. So you do have to start the feet wide for that. And we just go, like I said in the intro, these are 60 seconds long, so we don't have to feel rushed. So do go very slow and hold each position for a second or 2. The goal is to see if you can get the legs flat on the floor. You see like this, my legs are resting on the floor. If not, if you're hanging up here a little bit, that's okay. We're working on the mobility for a reason. So just do what you can. We also want to make sure that we're not rotating so far that we're like lifting our butt off the floor, because now anyone could get their legs flush to the floor if they lift their butt off the floor. So I hope that made sense. So if I was kind of stuck right here, I wouldn't lift my butt off the floor here to ensure that I'm getting these legs down. I would keep my butt on the floor and just go as far as you can down with these legs. I hope that made sense. Anyway, so that's the movement. Sometimes you start to crawl away from your hands like this. So if at any point you feel like you need to take a moment and scooch yourself back, go right ahead. Anyone not doing floor exercises, it's going to be the same idea, but you're going to be on a bench. I don't want to say it's not going to be as effective. That's not the right word. Maybe a slightly reduced range of motion, maybe. And maybe the end isn't a good idea like that. Hold on, because I didn't have a place to put my hands. But you need to sit really close to the edge of a bench. Again, put your feet wide, same. And we just kind of dip and turn like this. You might have to do a little bit of maneuvering with your feet, but the goal is to get this inside leg down as much as possible. So it is a little bit restricted range of motion, but it has the same effect overall. So that's going to be the alternative. Station 2 is called arm elevators. So we do need the mini bands for this. You don't need a very tight band. It really almost doesn't matter because we're not doing excessive stretching on the band. The band is just there to create a little tiny bit of resistance, also to kind of keep your arms in the right place. So I have these bulky sweatshirt sleeves on, which not ideal. Okay, you're going to put the band around just the base of the hand, so basically the wrist, kind of like this. Now already my body is wanting to open my elbows like this. So we don't want that for this exercise. We want the elbows right straight up and down in line with the hand. So if I am doing this, which is what my body kind of wants to do, my hand is here, but my elbow is way out there. So first, step 1 is just tucking those elbows in. Already that creates some kind of stretch through your upper back. You're going to feel just bringing those elbows in. Now, the elevator part, probably want to have this station in front of a mirror. It's just so much easier to see, even though your arms are right in front of you. It's easier to see what this looks like when you can see it. So use a mirror. We slowly very slow. We don't do this one quick. Raise the arms up. See how I'm actually really fighting to keep my elbows in, because right now my elbows are wanting to do this. Elbows in. You're going to feel the challenge of keeping those elbows in for the whole thing. Expect that. Slowly I'm going up. We want to go as high as possible. Again, right now my elbows want to do this, but I'm looking into the mirror. I'm not going to let them do that. You go as high as you can. Ideally, try to get straight up and down if possible. And then we slowly keep those elbows in. Once again, I'll say it. My body wants to do this. I'm not going to let it. Tuck those elbows back to the starting position. Okay, so that is it. But for a minute of really, tension in between those shoulder blades, the shoulders themselves, but forcing those elbows in, and I shouldn't say forcing, but telling your body to keep them in when they want to do this. It's challenging for a minute. Go slow. It's going to be tempting to speed it up, because it is easier to keep those elbows in if we are just going fast. And that's that one. I think there was something else I was going to say about it. Okay. Oh, yeah, no, just sometimes a visual, like a comparison to something helps. Think of your arms like two train tracks. So train tracks don't go like this, right? They are flush, they're parallel to one another. So you're keeping that train track. I don't know if that helps. It helps me. Anyway, that's station 2. It's more challenging than it looks. Station 3, hips again, but different type of movement compared to the first one. It's a hip protraction and retraction. Anyone who is familiar with cat-cow, it is the same thing happening in the hip area as we do in cat-cow. We're just not doing the back. We're not doing the arched and the rounded back. Well, you'll have a little arch because of the hip tilt, but we're not focusing on the back at all. So hands and knees. And again, cat-cow, we would tuck the hips in, but try to round that back. And then we would pop the hips out and try to arch that back. So there's a lot of back stuff happening. So we don't do that. All we're doing is tucking the hips under. Your lower back will still round here. See how my lower back rounded, but I'm not excessively rounding that upper back. And then we pop the hips out. So it is just, I think last mobility week, 10 weeks ago, we had the standing pelvic tilt. Or no, sorry, the lying pelvic tilt. We were on the floor. We were just working that pelvic tilt movement. It is the same thing. We're just on our hands and knees. So it's very, very subtle. Again, I'm rounding. It's like you're trying to bring your pelvic bone this way towards your stomach, towards your chest. And then I'm popping the hips out. Like you have a tail and you're trying to stick the tail to the wall. Those are the two stupidest like analogies, but whatever works. So it's a lot of movement in a small area, but we're trying not to do this upper back thing that we do with cat-cow. So hip mobility right there. And then anyone knocking on the floor, you can do that on a bench. Same thing, just like normal cat-cow modification. So on the bench, and we tuck that pelvis under and pop the pelvis back. So it is, like I said, it's very subtle. It's a very small movement, but actually within that hip, that pelvic area, it's a lot of movement for that region, because it's not, it's not like an arm or a leg where you can do a ton of movement. So it's good to focus on hip stuff. So we have quite a lot of it this time around. Next station is a supine. That just means lying on your back, essentially. Scapular protractions. Protraction. So we're going forward. Okay, so we lie on the back. Bend your knees. That doesn't affect what's happening with the back. It's this lower back support, really. So arms are straight up to the ceiling. You can make a fist, or you can do pointed fingers. I like to do pointed fingers, but it's whatever feels more natural for you. Now, it's going to be really tempting to bend and straighten the elbows. We're not doing that. Pretend that you have casts on your arms. So if you have a cast on your full arm, you can't bend your elbow, correct? So I want you to try to picture that. All we're doing is punching. I use the term punching the ceiling. That's where some people like to make a fist. It's totally fine if you want to. But you're punching the ceiling by protracting your shoulders. Protracting them means bringing them forward and kind of really feeling the stretch between your shoulder blades there. And then pushing the shoulder blades back down into the floor. You don't have to push them, just lower them back to the start. So it's probably like a 1 to 2 inch movement. But notice how my elbow, I'm not doing this with my elbows and straightening, or I'm not bending and straightening the elbows. I'm just, all of the movements is in the shoulders and shoulder blades. The arms just happen to be moving along with it. So I'm punching or reaching for that ceiling, releasing back down for a rest. Again, up here, it should feel when you're, I can do it standing too, because you can do the standing. That's actually the modification. Anyone who can't do get on the floor, stand up. It's the same thing. You just aren't working against gravity quite as much because we're standing up, we're not lying. But same thing, you would start with your arms here, we're protracting and then coming back to start. Protracting. So again, see how I'm not doing anything with my elbows? Same thing if you're on the floor. So some of these mobility movements, that's also why we do them for 60 seconds long, because sometimes it takes a few reps or a few attempts to kind of figure out what we're doing with our body and isolate very small areas. Or maybe I should say small movements. So give this one a try, scapular protractions. All right, next one is a single leg ball rollout, I believe I called it. This is for the hip a little bit. Well, no, quite a bit. But knee mobility and control, hip flexor up here. So I like this one. I used to do this in silver sneakers a lot. We're going to do all of round. No, we're going to switch halfway through, I think. Yeah. So you put this, we want one of the silver sneakers balls, the squishy ones. If your club doesn't have these, hopefully you have like a 2 or 4 pound like firm medicine ball, because we just want something light. The squishy is nice because it adds this effect, but if you don't have these, we got to work with what we have. Okay, so you put it under the foot. See, everyone's sitting for this, and start kind of more on the ball of the foot or the toe. See how the ball of my foot's on there? Because what we're doing is, oh shoot, gotta scoot over. What we're doing is sitting up tall, so we're not gonna slouch while we do this. Okay, so think about your posture, sit up tall. We're gonna fully roll out the ball by extending the leg and then pull it back in. I know it looks easy, and it is. I mean, conceptually it's easy, but for some people, what we're working on here is the control. So we're trying to not let the foot go side to side. We're trying to control it so we don't let go and lose it, or back here where our foot doesn't slip off. So it's constant control. You do want to put constant pressure down slightly. You're not stomping on it, but if you don't do any pressure and you just kind of go like this, that's when we kind of lose the ball. So do put constant light pressure down on the ball. If you have to stop every once in a while and do what I just did, kind of reposition it, that's fine. But yeah, we're rolling or extending out, full extension. If your knee goes fully straight, do the full extension. Try not to stop it just right here, because this is doing my knee. But unless I fully extend that leg, no change is happening in my hip. But if I fully extend that leg, now we elongated that hip flexor a little bit. So all those things halfway through, see if you can control it just without your hands. If you need to reach down, that's fine. But see if you can use just your feet for an added challenge. And we switch sides. So it's a little harder than it looks, just because of that control. Can be surprising for some people. Give it a try. That's the single leg ball. And the last station for the mobility week is side lying external rotations. We had this one earlier in the year with one of our mobility weeks. So you are lying on the floor on your side. You can rest your head comfortably in your hand here. Other arm, you want the upper arm flush with your side here. So we don't want it too far back. We don't want it in front, right along your side, so your elbow is kind of on your hip. And now I'm doing this with no weight because I just didn't grab one, but you can do this with a very, very light weight. I wouldn't suggest anyone go over 5 pounds. That even might be too much. 2 and 3 is usually pretty good for this. And this is our external rotation. So notice how I'm stopping. This is my max range of motion at the top. Now, if I wanted to try to go farther, that would cause me to have to tip my body backwards, which we don't want to do. So there's no rocking or tipping backwards. It's just going as high as your individual range of motion allows you to go. And at the bottom, you don't have to fully come down to the floor like this. You can just come down to a comfortable stopping point, and repeat. We're going to do a full minute on each side, so we don't have to worry about switching sides halfway through. Okay, now anyone not getting onto the floor, you can do that. I don't have it hooked up. That's okay, the coaches will have it hooked up. We're going to do a band external rotation. So you have a band anchored on the rack over here, and you would have the handle in your hand, and we're pulling that band resistance outward. Like this. Same thing though, keep your elbow along your side. So this is going to want to happen if you're doing the standing version. Don't let that happen. Keep your elbow right at your side. So There again, it's similar. We're just working against gravity, different, laying down versus standing up. So that is our shoulder focus, external rotations. Okay, and our finisher, this one, we've done it once or twice before over the years, so some of you will know it. It's going to be our left foot, our toe and heel tap. That is not a name for it. It's a cognitive thing where you're doing something with your right side and something with your left side simultaneously. We're going to focus on our feet, on our toes. So I'm going to start tapping my toes of my right foot, doesn't matter what side. And then I'm going to add in at the same time, tapping my heel with the other foot. So as you can see, one foot I'm tapping the heel, one foot I'm tapping the toe. They're going down to the floor at the same time. The side that you're tapping the toe, the front of the foot and like the shin gets a little tired because you're lifting and lowering the toes. So you'll feel a little fatigue there. But I'll do the other side now. I think it's easier to start with one thing than add in the second thing. That's me. Some people think it's easier to just start them both at the same time. So try both and see what works better for you. Now, again, I'm going to start tapping the toes of my left foot. I have that going. Now I'm going to add in the heel. Oops, I almost fell. The heel of my right foot. Probably can't even see my right heel lifting. Can you see that? Yeah, kind of dancy. Now, little bit of balance, not too bad, but not so much balance. It's just kind of the movement itself when you're standing can be a little tricksy. So feel free to sit on a bench. Oh, my feet never get in the frame. And do the same thing. So starting my toes here and my heels here. So you can definitely do this seated. Maybe if it's new, especially because you don't have to worry about the standing component of it. All you have to focus on is the coordination aspect. And then you can stand up when you're ready. But this one, it can be a little frustrating, but it is fun. Working that left side and right side, doing different things at the same time. It's very similar to like this, tapping your head and rubbing your belly. Let's give that a try. We're going to try 30 to 60 seconds on each side, whatever you've got time for at the end of your session. And if you repeat Defy throughout the week, it should get hopefully get a little easier throughout the week after you've tried it a few times. Let's see how it does for you.
Alrighty, that wraps up Mobility Week, week 50. We will do another mobility workout in week 10 of 2026. We have a little bit longer, about a 12-week break between this one and the next one, as opposed to a 10-week break. But we'll keep them on the 10s, so we will do one in the 10th week of next year. For now, it's our final mobility of this year. Hope you enjoy these movements, and I hope they're challenging, but you feel, what they're doing for you and the purpose behind them. And I'll see you back for next week's workout, week 51.